The rise and influence of the Murdaugh family characterize a quintessential tale of power entrenched in the American South. For nearly a century, the Murdaugh family held a prominent position in South Carolina's legal system, wielding significant influence through their law firm and control over the 14th Circuit Solicitor's Office. Known for their political connections and affluence, the Murdaughs were seen as untouchable, navigating legal and civic spheres with impunity. This long-standing dominance set the stage for an unraveling saga where their fall from grace became as dramatic as their rise. The significance of the Murdaugh family's influence is critical in understanding the larger narrative of the shocking crimes associated with them. Their power not only shaped regional legal practices, but also created an insulated environment where questionable activities could go unchecked for decades. This backdrop of dominance and privilege is essential to grasp the sense of betrayal and disbelief that permeated the community and the nation when the web of lies began to unravel. Two specific examples underscore the family's influence. First, their control over the 14th Circuit Solicitor's Office for nearly 87 years allowed them to shape legal outcomes and maintain a formidable network of loyalists. Second, their prestigious law firm established a legal dynasty that wielded immense power in civil litigation, further bolstering their regional clout. Opinions supporting the idea of their outsized influence point to their ability to manipulate legal outcomes, often perceived as acting above the law. This perception underscores the shock when their legal and ethical breaches were exposed, leading many to speculate on the extent of their manipulations and cover-ups. However, challenges and controversies abound. Critics argue that the family's power skewed justice for years, enabling them to evade scrutiny. Conversely, some defend the Murdaughs, attributing their downfall to isolated events rather than systemic corruption. This division highlights the complexities of power dynamics in close-knit communities and raises questions about accountability and the role of public trust. The rise and influence of the Murdaugh family profoundly connect to the overarching themes of the main topic: murder, fraud, and corruption. Their entrenched authority laid fertile ground for the alleged cover-ups and crimes, turning their narrative into a cautionary tale. As the family's influence crumbled, it signaled a broader reckoning with institutional power and trust, compelling the community and legal system to reflect on the consequences of unchecked dominance. The fatal boat crash marks a pivotal moment in the unraveling of the Murdaugh dynasty, acting as the first significant crack in the facade of a powerful Southern family. This incident refers to the tragic event that occurred in February 2019, when a boat allegedly driven by Paul Murdaugh under the influence of alcohol crashed into a bridge in Beaufort County, South Carolina, resulting in the death of 19-year-old Mallory Beach. This crash introduced the Murdaugh family to public scrutiny and initiated a series of investigations that would eventually expose layers of deceit, corruption, and crime deeply embedded in their legacy. The significance of the boat crash lies in its role as the catalyst for the broader expose of the Murdaugh family's alleged misconduct. It attracted media attention and sparked legal inquiries that probed deeper into the family's long-standing influence in the Lowcountry region. As a prominent legal family, the Murdaughs had wielded considerable power for generations, but the tragedy highlighted potential abuses of this power and raised questions about systemic corruption within the local judicial and law enforcement systems. Specific examples illustrating the crash's impact include the subsequent wrongful death lawsuit filed by Mallory Beach's family, which brought the Murdaughs' alleged attempts to manipulate the justice system into the public eye. Furthermore, this incident directly preceded the shocking deaths of Maggie and Paul Murdaugh in June 2021, a brutal double homicide with speculation that it might be linked to fears of legal repercussions stemming from the crash. There are opinions supporting the notion that the boat crash exposed a larger narrative of privilege and impunity. Critics argue that the initial handling of the incident reflected the undue influence the Murdaughs exercised over local authorities, suggesting a protective barrier that allowed them to evade accountability. However, this point is not without controversy. Some argue that the intense media spotlight and public discourse might undermine the presumption of innocence for the accused, influencing legal outcomes prematurely. Others believe that focusing heavily on the boat crash might overshadow the complexity of other charges and incidents, such as fraud and corruption. The fatal boat crash sets off a domino effect, intertwining with other explosive revelations about the Murdaugh family. It provided the impetus for deeper investigations that revealed financial crimes and questionable practices, further contributing to the collapse of their dynasty. This initial tragedy connects profoundly with the string of mysterious deaths and alleged cover-ups, painting a larger picture of a family and system ensnared in a web of lies. Unveiling the double homicide, a family torn apart, refers to the shocking murder of Maggie and Paul Murdaugh, a mother and son, which occurred in June 2021. This brutal act shattered the facade of the influential Murdaugh family, renowned for their legal empire in South Carolina's Low Country. The double homicide is pivotal to the Murdaugh saga as it catalyzed deeper investigations into the family, revealing a tangled web of corruption, deceit, and criminal activity that span generations. The significance of this point lies in its role as the catalyst for unraveling the Murdaugh dynasty's dark secrets. Before these murders, the Murdaughs were considered a legal powerhouse, with 3 generations serving as solicitors in the region. Their influence in local politics and law enforcement allowed them to exert considerable control over the justice system. However, the murders prompted law enforcement and media scrutiny, leading to the exposure of financial misdeeds, cover-ups, and other mysterious deaths linked to the family. Specific examples that illustrate this point include the investigation into the Murdaughs' financial crimes, where Alex Murdaugh, the family patriarch, was accused of embezzling millions from his law firm and clients. Another example is the re-examination of the 2019 fatal boat crash involving Paul Murdaugh, which had long been suspected of being mishandled due to the family's influence. These cases highlight the unchecked power and privilege the family wielded before the double homicide brought them crashing down. Opinions supporting the significance of the double homicide suggest it lifted the veil of invincibility surrounding the Murdaughs and prompted long overdue justice for victims. Critics argue that such entrenched power should have been challenged sooner, but the shocking nature of the murders made it impossible to ignore the urgent need for accountability. Challenges and controversies surrounding this point include the potential for continued manipulation of the legal system, given the Murdaughs' deep connections. Alternative viewpoints question whether the full truth will ever be known, given possible efforts to protect remaining family reputation. The double homicide threads through every aspect of the Murdaugh case, influencing public perception and driving ongoing legal proceedings. It underscores the impact of unchecked power and the importance of transparent, unbiased judicial processes. As the story unfolds, the brutal act that tore a family apart continues to shape the narrative of a dynasty's demise and the quest for justice in the American South. Fraud and corruption within the Murdaugh dynasty represent the clandestine yet potent forces that have significantly shaped the trajectory of this Southern family saga. These elements are not merely background noise, but are central to understanding how the Murdaugh empire, once seemingly untouchable, began to fracture under the weight of its hidden sins. Fraud, in this context, refers to deceit and manipulation for financial gain, while corruption involves the abuse of power for personal or familial advantage. These practices were reportedly embedded in the Murdaugh family's operation, allowing them to maintain influence over legal and economic spheres in South Carolina's Low Country. The significance of these scandals is immense. They not only highlight the moral decay within the family, but also showcase the systemic vulnerabilities in a region long dominated by the Murdaugh name. One poignant example is the alleged embezzlement by Alex Murdaugh from his own law firm and his clients. This betrayal eroded the trust placed in him as a legal representative and exposed a pattern of financial malpractice. Another striking instance is the accusation that Alex Murdaugh conspired to arrange his own shooting as part of a fraudulent scheme to secure a life insurance payout for his surviving son. These examples underscore the extent to which deceit was woven into the fabric of the family's dealings. Supporters of the view that fraud and corruption are pivotal to understanding the Murdaugh case argue that these elements provide the backbone for the family's ability to evade scrutiny for so long. The cases highlight how power can be wielded to obscure truth and manipulate justice. However, this narrative is not without its challenges. Some argue that the focus on fraud and corruption might overshadow the more immediate, violent aspects of the case, like the double homicide of Maggie and Paul Murdaugh. Others suggest that these financial crimes are symptomatic of broader societal issues, such as economic disparity and legal inequities, rather than the crux of the case. Fraud and corruption within the Murdaugh saga connect deeply with other dimensions of the story, including the alleged cover-ups and manipulations following the fatal boat crash involving Paul Murdaugh. They illustrate a pervasive pattern of behavior that raises questions about how many other potential injustices were buried under the family's influence. As these scandals unravel, they not only challenge our understanding of justice, but also invite a closer examination of entrenched power structures in the South, offering a cautionary tale about the dangerous intersections of wealth, influence, and moral compromise.